Do you have trouble calling on a mouth call? If so, this video's for you. Learning to call on a mouth call can be difficult at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's really not that hard. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you all and demonstrating to y'all how to call on a mouth call, and hopefully, by the end of the video, you'll be proficient and ready to kill that Tom this spring. Now, I first started calling on a mouth call about 1.5 years ago, and since then, we'll say I feel like I'm pretty good. I don't think I'm an expert at mouth calling, but I know the basics, and I can get that Tom within range. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get your mouth call and get it ready to be called on it. When you first get a mouth call, or if you haven't called on it for a little while, it will be not as pliable, but once you put it in your mouth and start to move it around like this, for a little while, you'll be ready to call. So how I like to teach mouth calling is by these next steps. The first thing you're going to want to do, place the mouth call in your mouth, stick your tongue out like this, and then place the bottom side of your mouth call, right, or on your tongue like this, okay, and just let it sit there. And then what you're going to want to do, place it there and move your tongue into your mouth. And now, push your tongue to the roof of your mouth, keeping the mouth call in the same spot. Push your tongue to the roof of your mouth like this. Now, the mouth call is on the roof of my mouth. I can stick my tongue out, and the saliva will actually keep the mouth call on the roof of my mouth. Now, once my mouth call is on the roof of my mouth, the first thing I'm going to want to learn to do is just to create some kind of sound coming through that mouth call. Now, these first couple sounds don't even have to be proper yelps, but it should sound something like this. And the way to create a sound like that is very simply just pushing air up from your diaphragm, up and through your mouth like this. Push, stick your mouth call in, put it on the roof of your mouth, and then just push. Just try pushing. And then just try that for a little while and get the hang of it. Now once you can create that sound and that it is an even and long-lasting sound, try adding some different ups and downs into it like this. So pretty much just make those bursts of air less frequent and put some spaces in between them. Now once you can create those spaces in between the calls, you can start to make it so the airflow actually continues on through the whole way, but you're just letting more air out of your mouth. Here's the difference between one, just starting and stopping by pushing air, and then letting air continue to blow out but just making less or more of it come out. So here we go. First up, this is what it's going to sound like when you're just starting to push air and then you're stopping, and starting to push air and you're stopping. Now that could be recognized as a turkey yelp, but we want to make that sound even more realistic by continuing to push air but just letting less or more of it in between yelps. So I don't know if you can notice, but I'm actually continuing to push air through my mouth. All I'm doing is I'm closing and opening my lips and the area in my throat to make those yelps. So this is what that should sound like. And again, you don't have to get them perfect. Just try getting that rhythm of creating the sounds through the mouth call going. Alright, so once you have those basic yelps coming out of your mouth, we can start to go into some other ways to make these sounds even more realistic, such as making higher pitched or lower pitched yelps like this. So this is a lower pitched yelp, and that imitates more of a raspy hen or an older, more mature hen that's been around the block, and that can be a great way to get that long beard in a little closer because that thing knows that it's an old, mature hen over here and not a young one that's not quite ready to breed. The way to do that is to let less air through your mouth. The more air and the quicker it goes through your mouth, the higher pitch it's going to sound, and the less air, the lower pitch it's going to sound. So this is going to be a lower pitched sound. I'm going to let very little air through my mouth as I'm going. I'm not pushing that much air through my mouth, and this is going to sound like I'm younger, less mature hen because I'm really going to push that air really tight through but not let it go so that it creates that sharper yelp. This is an old mature hen. This is a young immature hen. So you can play around with that and just get comfortable with using the mouth call. But again, the number one thing I can say to help you get proficient with the mouth call is just practice. Keep it in your mouth, call as you're going around your everyday life, unless it gets on your family or friends' nerves. I learned that the hard way. But other than that, just keep practicing. Alright, we're moving on from yelps. I'm going to teach you all how to putt on a mouth call. This is one of the most simple calls, and it actually can be really, really beneficial to know this call, especially if a longbeard comes in, he sees you or doesn't like the setup, he putts, and just by putting yourself can let him know that there's another turkey here that is also alarmed, and often can relax him, which happens all the time for me. Sounds like this. And how you make it is very simple. You're going to just let a very small amount of air go through your mouth and then start it and stop it really quick. So it's almost like you're spitting. Try this just with your mouth without the mouth call in. Put your lips together and then blow out really quickly. Now put your mouth call in. Try doing that with the mouth call in. Now you gotta be careful because if you let too much air out, it'll sound like a yelp like this. So you gotta really make sure there's only a little bit of air coming through your mouth. Now, I wanted to show how to cluck and yelp at the same time. This is a super, super helpful call because it can really bring that gobbler in, and this happens all the time to me where he's hung up out there, he doesn't like my regular calling, so I gotta add some clucks in with the yelping to really bring him in close. So that was a mix between yelps and clucks, and this is how you make the clucks. I think of a cluck as something between a putt and a yelp. It's definitely not that longer yelp, but it's also not that short putt. It should sound something like this. And how you make it is make it the same way you make that putt sound, but then just continue that sound on like I told you not to do when you're making the putt sounds, and just start that putt, but then let it continue on, but not quite as long as the yelp. So instead of the putt that sounds like this, you're going to make a cluck that sounds like this. So we're going to run through all three of those at the same time. First I'm going to do yelps, then I'm going to do clucks, then I'm going to do putts. So yelps coming up. Clucks coming up. Putts coming up. So those are some of the three most basic calls when it comes to turkey hunting. I hope these tips help you out next spring. Please drop a like, a comment, and subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe down below. Don't want you all leaving without being subscribed, I'm telling you. Also, if you want to see all my turkey hunting content, head over to my Patreon, first link in the description. It's the best way to support this channel besides subscribing. The reason I can't put it over here on YouTube is because YouTube's child safety protocol. I made a whole video about it. Click right here if you want to see that video. Click right here if you want to subscribe. But in the meantime, I'll see you over on Patreon, and make sure to subscribe. Stay tuned.